Dear brothers, it's about quality, not quantity.
So guys, it should be your conversation, the way you flow, your presence is enough for a woman to want to be around you, not how much money you spend.
Dear sisters, it's about knowing your value.
My sisters out there, don't be afraid to scare a guy off just because you have standards.
Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
Hey, welcome my peoples. Welcome to another edition of DBDS Live. Listen, we have such an amazing show today. I'm your host, Mel Money, with my special co-host, DBDS brand ambassador, Nicole Marie Brown. Listen, how you feeling today, sister?
Oh, I'm feeling good. This is a good topic we have today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm feeling great as well because, as I stated, we have such an amazing show. So make sure you get your pen and pads ready to take some notes. Lots of nuggets from some amazing people. And today's topic at hand, Nicole, guess what? That is signs that you are a stepping stone.
Whew.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Beyond deep, I'm telling you. And this could be very useful for those who are not knowledgeable enough to see these signs today.
Right.
And what do you think of today's topic? What's your opinions on that?
Oh, it's fire. What I love about it is everybody, I think, can relate on either side. So I'm excited to see what nuggets are dropped.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, before we bring our guests into the studio, I just would like to give a special shout out to my brother Mo and his wife Gina, and a special shout out to the DBDS family for their love and support. And also, you can catch additional content on your YouTube channel with DBDS Live. That's the title of the channel, because our goal is to build this positive network and provide great insights to help our brothers and sisters out there to create healthy, sustainable relationships. And also, one last final plug, we also have a book currently out called Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, Listen Up. And it's a knowledge guide that contains advice on how to avoid these traps and pitfalls. So it's available on Amazon.com. Make sure you get yourself a copy so that way you can be prepared to avoid these toxic relationships out there.
Can I add something to that?
Please do.
So make sure when you get the book, I read it, make sure you read it, review it, and share it, because it is amazing.
Absolutely. So we're going to bring our first guest into the studio, and let's welcome my brother, Ken.
Hey, Papa K.
How did I know it's going first?
No pressure.
No pressure.
So welcome to DBDS Live. Tell the people where you're coming from, a little bit about yourself, and why you're on the show today.
Hey, thank you for having me. My name is Ken Woodson. I am originally from Flint, Michigan. My wife and I now reside in Pontiac, Michigan. I am a huge fan of the show, and everybody that's been a part of it. It's really, truly a blessing to our brothers and our sisters. Why am I here today? Just to share some insights, right? Been married for 10 years, had one marriage that was not successful. So a lot of counseling around that, and just want to share some of the information and knowledge that I have gained in my 46 years here.
Nice. And I always say experience is the best teacher. I'm glad to have you on the show today, brother.
Welcome, Ken.
Now I'm bringing my sister. She was on the show before. She's going to trust me, drop some wisdom. Welcome back, Chamar, to DBDS Live.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're coming from, and why you're on the show today.
Perfect. So my name is Chamar Latanya. I reside in Hartford, Connecticut, so not too far from Chamar, I believe. I am a life transformation coach, as well as a full-time entrepreneur. I help women and men rebuild, transform, and reclaim their power after divorces or tough breakup. And I am here because, first and foremost, Chamar called me, and I'm like, he gave me some time. He called me last week. I was like, my man, it's like 2 hours before I got that. I had plans, but he called me 3 hours in advance. So I was like, word, I told you I'd be back on whenever you need me. And that is why I'm here. And I love the professionalism and the setup, you know what I mean? And I love just helping people find themselves and just, live their lives boldly and confidently. So I'm ready to get started.
Excellent.
That's what I love to hear. And you thought that was over? Not yet. We have one more amazing guest to come on to the show. Hey, Ericka, welcome
Ericka.
to DBDS Live. Yes. So tell the people where you're coming from, a little bit about yourself, and why you are on the show today.
Hey, my name is Ericka Harris. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I am the CEO, founder of Restore to Reign International Ministries, as well as I Am Divinely Designed. I run a 4-week program called Treasures Transform, where I take people on a 4-week journey I walk with them personally for 4 weeks on this inner healing journey to find out who they are, to deal with childhood trauma, past hurt, pain, been through all that. So that's my catalyst. That I use, married, 3 children, grandchildren. I'm here just to share my experience, some wisdom. Kind of been through everything from A to Z. So I'm just here. Chamar reached out to me via Messenger. So I'm just excited to be here just to share some wisdom and knowledge and to help someone get over to the next side and find out like who they are. So that's my passion, healing and restoration.
That's amazing. Very positive. Love it. This is such an amazing panel. So, I mean, this is a hot topic today because I feel that a lot of people get into these horrible relationships because some weren't able to see these signs that they may be a stepping stone. But before we get started, there's the DBDS Anonymous section where people post their thoughts and issues, and they look for some constructive criticism to help them along their journey. So I have my DBDS brand ambassador, Nicole, read a letter so we can help our anonymous poster. Take it away, Nicole.
All right. Hello, DBDS family. I need some help. My boyfriend and I have been back together for a couple of months. We've been together for 8 years, and I don't understand why he has not proposed to me yet, even though we live together and have no kids. I am 26 and he is 35. When I communicate with him how I feel about things, he always has an excuse. For example, he can't afford a ring or he's not ready. Lately, I've noticed that my boyfriend has been in contact with his ex-girlfriend. He also started recently disappearing for hours, and when he gets back, starts treating me badly or starts fights with me. I have no idea why he's treating me this way. Sometimes he will call me out my name, and it's been a roller coaster ride ever since we've been together, all of these years. I keep asking him if he's giving his ex-girlfriend hope that they are getting back together. He always yells at me and says no, he isn't. But they text each other on a consistent basis, and I think something is going on between them. I would like to address the texting issue with his girlfriend, but I can't figure out a good way how to approach him about it because he says that I have trust issues and need to shut up. Then he goes back to playing his video games. He is currently not working due to one of his legs giving him a problem, and he refuses to see a doctor as he does not have health insurance. Even if I offer to pay the copay, he yells at me and says that we must save our money, even though he has not been contributing as much. He would rather wait on the next stimulus check. He does side jobs from time to time, but that's it. Now, as far as his ex-girlfriend, I told him that he needs to be in my shoes and understand what I'm saying when it comes to him texting his ex-girlfriend. I also want to address boundaries between him and his ex-girlfriend as well, but he either ignores me or laughs at me. That way she can't call and make him come running whenever she makes something up. I really hope I can get some good advice regarding my situation because I don't know how much I can take, even though I love him and I want to start a family. By the way, he wants 4 kids. Whew.
Okay. Anonymous poster, I know you're watching the show, but trust me, we have an expert of great people up here that can definitely guide you in the right direction. So listen, we heard the story, Ericka. I'm going to come to you first. What advice you have for our anonymous sister?
I think it's a matter of you finding out, first of all, who you are and setting boundaries. It sounds like when you went back to the situation, I believe that once you went back, you further treated him how to disrespect you. Anytime we go back into a situation that's unhealthy, we teach people how to treat us. And so you have to find the strength within yourself to stand on your own 2 feet and find the value of who you are as a woman and what it is that you're bringing to the table, and to not be afraid to be alone, because in the midst of all this, you're betraying yourself, you're betraying your power, you're betraying who you are and who you stand for and who you can become. And the moment you realize your worth and who you are, and you'll be able to step away from that situation, heal, and realize on the other side, there may be somebody who's going to love you and appreciate all the things that he's not appreciating. And so it's just a matter of you realizing that, taking your power back, standing in it, and realizing who you are.
Nicely said, and I love how you stated
Very
take
well.
your power back. That's very important. I'm coming to my sister Chamar. What advice do you have for our anonymous sister?
So the first thing, I should give a disclaimer. I'm really very real and blunt. Tremel really should have told y'all something like this, okay? first thing out the gate, my man said he's not ready. So that's first and foremost. He outright said he wasn't ready. And I'm not about to bash anybody that I don't know, you know what I mean? But I will tell you, along with the other signs of 8 years and there's no proposal, y'all ain't got no children, y'all living together. But like outright, he said he's not ready. The minute you hear that phrase, it is okay, well, I'm gonna have to go because he's not ready. You know, and I was gonna say, well, he's not ready, but you are. But sis, honestly, you're not ready either. Because like my good sister Ericka said, you have to ask yourself, why are you allowing yourself to be treated this way? Do you believe that you deserve more? Do you know that you deserve more? Do you know how precious you are in God's sight? Do you know that God will never treat you that way? So therefore, no one else should be allowed to treat you that way. And if you haven't made peace with that, then I would say don't worry about anybody's relationship or anybody's marriage or anyone's motherhood until you get yourself ready, until you get yourself to that place where you can value yourself. So we take the focus off of what he's doing because he's going to do what he's doing. Because he said he ain't ready. And he's doing, right? Put the focus on you. Why am I allowing myself to be yelled at? Why am I allowing myself to be talked down to? Why am I allowing myself to be treated this way? Why are there no boundaries? And that takes a lot of inner work and a lot of inner healing. So I would say to you outright, take a step back, like all the way back, like pack your bags, take a step back, right? And really go find who you are and who you are in God. Because once you get that key piece down, once you understand how loved you truly are and how precious you are and how purpose-filled you are, you will not allow anyone to treat you that way. And then you can get to the point where you're ready for this marriage. You're ready for everything that God has for you. But you've got to get yourself together first and foremost. And the biggest thing, people will show you who they are. When they say that, believe me. You tell me you're not ready. Okay, cool. Heard you. Not asking no questions. That's what you had said. I'm out. I'm going. I'm not about to sit here and try and change you because we can't change people. Only God can do that. We can inspire, but we can't do the actual work. You have to really work on yourself. So there's a lot of like Ericka said, there's a lot of reclaiming of your power that you have to do, and a lot of finding out who you are that you have to do so you can be ready for a good relationship.
Absolutely. And you know what? The key word that my sister Chamar stated is the key word is allow. You can't allow this to happen. I'm coming to my good brother Ken. What is your advice for this anonymous sister?
One, it took a lot of guts to write that and open up and get some advice from this panel. So I'm humbled to be here and be able to actually feed into it. I took a lot of notes. It's a lot in there, but the key takeaway for me is 8 years is a long time to be with someone and them not pull the trigger. Right. That is the definition of you are a stepping stone. If this is textbook, this is it right here. I'm just going to keep this relationship going and going and going until I find someone better or she gets tired of me and she moves on. The other piece is he says he wants 4 kids. He's shown you disrespect, won't work, won't do anything that's going to benefit the family, the situation, the household at all. Is this someone you really want not only to have children with, but teach your young sons and daughters, A, how to be a man, and B, how to be treated by a man, right? So right now it's not just about, oh, I love him. When you're talking about a family and you're talking about kids, this is the person you want teaching your son how to be a man. This is the person you want teaching your daughter how she should be treated by a man, right? So at oh, I love him, he's my boyfriend, he's my girlfriend, that's all cool. But at a certain point, when you start talking about family and you start talking about kids and rearing of children, you got to make sure that the person you guys are on the same page when it comes to that. And he's showing you all the behaviors that you would not want your son or daughter to be dealing with.
Wow. I mean, the panel was just spitting fire, man. I'm just like all charred up just listening to this, man. So I'm gonna come to my sister, DBDS ambassador Nicole Marie Brown. What are your thoughts on this, and what advice you have for our sister here?
Well, I mean, there's nothing I could say that the panel didn't already get. Every single aspect. I love everybody's opinions about it. For me, I think the letter was a little bit confusing. Like, there was a lot of holes in the story. Like, they just got back together. So where does this ex-girlfriend come in? This was his ex-girlfriend between the time you guys broke up and got back together. What was the circumstances that brought you back together? So I'm a little bit confused, and so it's hard for me to give advice when I don't know the full story. But I do know this, and I'll keep it short and sweet. He doesn't respect you. He doesn't respect your feelings. There is no disrespect in love. There just isn't. You have to have a mutual respect in a relationship. And if this is how it's been since you guys have been together 8 years and continuing on, likely it's not going to change.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before I drop my 2 cents, we have a Facebook user. I have you read the comment right quick, Nicole.
Absolutely. So Facebook user says, yes, I say the same thing.
Oh, she agreed with, okay. Absolutely.
With all of us.
All of us, right? Listen, I'm just going to jump in and just say my 2 cents. And first off, anonymous post, I know you're watching. I just want to thank you for having the courage to reach out just to get some value feedback. So first off, just dissecting this letter, listen, 8 years waiting to be proposed shows that your emotions are being used to manipulate you to remain in this dysfunctional relationship. And based on your situation, you have no moral codes or personal relationship principles, as my good sister Chamar stated, to logically get a clear idea that more than likely he's involved with someone else and he sees you as the safety net. Because despite his clear deception within his mind frame, he knows that you're not going to go anywhere because you're emotionally attached to him. And there are so many elements within your letter that demonstrates a toxic relationship. Him yelling at you shows that he's an aggressive communicator, which means he doesn't value your feelings, as well as he displays low emotional intelligence because, you know, the external factors just to have a discussion with him about your relationship turns into arguments. Him texting and hanging out with his ex-girlfriend clearly shows that he doesn't respect the relationship, which translates that he doesn't respect you. And when someone does not respect you, they tend to use love as an illusion to keep you comfortable as a permanent option. But before that, the thing is that a lot of the panel stated, you're allowing him to treat you like a second-class citizen or someone who isn't bride worthy. Also tells a lot about your character and something you need to work on. You know, another thing I just want to mention from my perspective, that whenever a man is serious about anything, he signs a contract. I cannot be clear enough on this. For example, when a man buys a car, he signs a contract. When a man buys a house, he signs a contract. You know, when a brother gets the business loan from the bank, he signs a contract. And if he's serious about that special woman, he signs a marriage contract. Because anything a man is not willing to sign for means he's not serious. And that's where the actions and the words must parallel each other. Because the reality is, these half-hearted excuses such as I can't afford a ring, or that I'm not ready, or spending time with you, or spending time with his ex-girlfriend, and as Chamar stated, are non-verbally his answers, which means that he prefers to see you as a permanent option and not a permanent partner. So now you have a decision to make. Do you prefer quantity over quality, or do you prefer quality over quantity? Because if you prefer quality, then the first thing you need to do is establish your rules of disengagement and separate yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So hopefully the advice that myself as well as the panel will help direct you in the right direction. And thank you once again for writing that letter. So now we're going to go ahead and pivot to the first topic of the show at hand, my peoples. And the first topic that we're going to discuss is he or she keeps you close enough to give you hope, but far enough to keep you unsure of where you stand. I mean, you can see the brother is just like, I want to be with you. She's like, no, you know, so Listen, this happens a lot. This is a sign that you may be in the type of relationship where there's a pull and push mechanism. And at dbdsuniversity.teachable.com, we talk about the pull and push technique in which the emotional factor is used to pull someone in to the point that they are mentally, physically, and spiritually attached to a person who is emotionally detached based on the agenda to push that person away on purpose. So that way that other person can prove their worthiness to them. And I think it's pure psychological abuse and also a sign that you are a stepping stone. And in order to overcome that, you must have values, moral codes, and personal principles. So I'm coming to my sister Ericka. What are your thoughts related to this topic?
I think in those type of situations look like I'll call you, I'll spend time with you. And sometimes I'll just speak from a woman's perspective. Sometimes we as women, been there, done that. We just want someone to be around. And so we'll be with men who are uncommitted to themselves, not knowing who they are, and they just see us as options. So sometimes you can just be seen as an option, as someone to spend time with when it's convenient for them. And that goes back to, again, you not understanding who you are as a person. And we say the more we treat people, we treat people how to treat us. And so if we're not sure in who we are, we begin to draw those things to ourselves, because who we are is what we draw to ourselves. And so when we're with people and we don't really understand what it is that we want, because a lot of things that we want is just based on what society shows us. And so that's what shows up in our lives. And a lot of things that are attached to us is based on our pain. And so until we can go and really deal with ourselves and understand who we are by digressing and going within and understanding that and allowing God to be God, we would continue to submit ourselves to those situations where there's just that unsurety of where we stand with somebody, because we're not transparent in what it is that we need, what it is that we want. Because first of all, we don't know who we are. So if you're in a place where you're not knowing who you are, you don't really know what to ask for. And a lot of things that we ask for is superficial, and it's not based on anything solid. It's not based on anything that's of substance. So a lot of times people are asking for things that they don't have the capacity to give. So that's kind of my take.
Sorry, man. No, I'm sorry. You want to continue? Go ahead, Ericka. You had other thoughts?
Yeah. So that's so that's why I have this, big thing about us. We don't realize, like, we betray ourselves on so many different levels by not getting what it is that we deserve, because sometimes we're in so much in a rush. And so sometimes just having someone there, someone to talk to when it's convenient, sometimes it's unhealthy for us emotionally, mentally, and physically, and definitely spiritually, because it takes us away from the who we are. And the more we continue to submit, and I always just say the more we continue to submit ourselves to those, we'll continue to, to be in that kind of like Groundhog Day type cycle. We'll continue to keep showing up in the same type of relationships and attracting the same type of people until we just get to the point to where we just surrender and just go through the healing process so that we can be whole.
It's an endless cycle. I'm sorry. I got too fire happy pulling that trigger. So I appreciate the Now I'm coming to my brother Ken. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
When it comes to this topic, it's all about what you are willing to accept from somebody else, right? Once you know your worth, once you know what you bring to the table and who you are, it's going to be very difficult for someone to manipulate the situation and manipulate you as far as keeping you close enough, but not actually making a solid commitment to you, because they're going to know where you stand. We were having a conversation about this the day before, back when I was single. I wasn't always a nice guy, right? But when you're out there and you're in that what, did you give me a bark? Wow. When you're in that predator kind of mindset and you're just looking for someone to spend some time with, things of that nature, you look for someone who is broken. You gravitate towards someone that is letting you know, whether it's by their actions, by the way they carry themselves, by the way they talk about themselves, that they are vulnerable in some kind of way, shape, or form. And you can come into that situation and manipulate it because it's easily to be manipulated. When you run across someone who knows their worth, knows that they're beautiful, know that they're intelligent, know what they bring to the table, doesn't necessarily need to hear that from you, but wants to hear from you, then that's a whole different type of mindset. And you can't keep someone like that just close enough, but far enough away. You know, off this top that they're not going to stand for that, right? So when whatever you put out there, like my sister said, is what you're going to get back. If you put out there that I'm the type of person that wants commitment, I am the type of person that wants a one-on-one relationship, I am the type of person who demands a one-on-one type relationship, then that's what you're going to get. If you're the type of person that puts that other energy out there that you're willing to settle for, or a piece of a man, then that's exactly what you're going to get.
Settle for a piece of, I'm burning the studio down. Amazing what you said. What I like what you said, Ken. What resonated with me is that what you put out is what you're going to get back in. So that's amazing. I'm coming to my sister Chamar. What is your thoughts on this particular topic?
My thoughts, I'm reminded of like this guy I used to date, and I remember saying to him, like, yo, you need more breaks in the Kit Kat bar commercial. Like every time something go down, you need a break. Like, what is this, right? And but you know, it's not only like really, it was like he always need a break. I'm like, damn, it's a never-ending Kit Kat bar commercial. So here's the thing, right? Not only do you have to know who you are, but you have to know what time of your life that you're in. Okay, because there is if you know you're past that time of dating and not really being serious, because there was a time where I didn't really care what you did because I'm not looking for anything serious. So you can go ahead and do your thing. We'll meet up when we meet up. But that doesn't last forever. In my 20s, that was cute. I'm about to be 40. That's not cute anymore. Okay. So I need to be intentional about my dating. So you also have to be when you're really intentional about who you are, what time of your life that you're in, and what it is that you need, you begin to date with intentionality. And that is not intentional. You'll be able to see that. You can't come over and play boyfriend for an hour and then I don't hear from you for days. I don't know what you think this is. That comes from who you are and knowing your intentions and going forward. Now, I'm also going to say this. To be quite honest with you, just to throw a different perspective in, I find that you can know who you are, know what you want, and put that energy out there. I don't play no games. That energy should be seen out the front, out the jump. But you can best believe it's always going to be someone that's going to try me. You can best believe there's always going to be someone that does not care about your boundaries, that does not care about how empowered you are, and they're going to try you. You still have to stick with what you know you have to stick with. That does not abdicate you the responsibility of demanding more and not settling. So when you see these signs, and I swear we have to start seeing these signs for what they are. When you see these signs, I really want people to get more comfortable with being like, I see that, I'm not really liking that, I'm out the door. And not going back and forth with people. You know what I mean? And when you're a nurturer, as most of us are, especially women, we're nurturers, and we love to be the woman that changes everything. This is not a Disney story. Get a real view of what love and relationships are and see it for what it is, and go off and find yourself and create a really great life, because the fuller your life is, the less time you have for the nonsense and for the back and forth. And lastly, like I just said, have a really real view of what love is. And how do you do that? You look at the love of God. We are not a fairy tale. We are God's most precious possession, but we're not a fairy tale, right? And that's love is not a fairy tale. It is choices. It is intentionality. It is purposeful. It is intent. So you keep thinking that, struggle love is this ultimate love story. It is not. I will speak against that. Devil is a lie. Struggle love is not a thing. And it should not be a thing. And we can't keep normalizing that. So when you see these signs, it's time to go.
Oh, yes. And, before we go to my girl, Nicole, we have a quick comment from a Facebook user.
Amen, Chamar. I second that.
Let the church say amen.
Amen.
So I'm going to come to my sister Nicole. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Well, I wanted to address Ken because I think he thought I barked at him and I didn't. And I said, that's growth. To be able to identify your own issues and know that, hey, this is what I used to be and this is what I am now. That is so important. And a lot of people miss that. So kudos to you for that. Wasn't barking at you. But this is one of the clearest signs to me that someone's not interested. Someone who is interested in you is never, ever going to make you wonder where you stand with them. They're going to want your opinion in their lives. They're going to let you know what's going on. They're not going to keep you at a distance. They're not going to run game on you. It's important that you notice this sign. If they're making an effort to keep you in their lives and being equally involved in yours, that's what you need to look for. These wishy-washy people, like Chamar said, boy, bye. Girl, bye.
Ooh. Man, nicely said. And what I want to state here is that, from a man's perspective, this can be confusing to some women, and it's often one of, I'll say the most common situations certain sisters find themselves in. And I think it's very critical to never allow your emotions to override your logic, because I believe a lot of sisters' downfall is that they only listen to their heart and not with their head, which allows a counterfeit brother or one who pretends to be a good man, to easily manipulate them based on what they're attracted to. And they tend to use that to their advantage in order to achieve their goal, whether it's using, a sister for her money, or to only have a physical transaction with her, or to use her emotions to keep her as a safety net, just like our anonymous sister. And these are simply mind games, because when a man is on the fence about you, or he only sees you as your short-term prospect, pretty much he will be inconsistent on a consistent basis. So listen, we're going to go over to the next topic. We're just going to keep it flowing, commercial free, Keep it going.
Hey.
That's right. So the next topic that I want to talk at hand is he or she is hell-bent on changing some aspect about you, or that they can't truly love you unless you change for them. Whew. And we see this all the time. So let me slide this up here. So when someone nitpicks at the things that make you who you are, I believe it's a definite red flag, and it shows that they don't respect your individuality. Especially if you evolve to become a better person or a better version of yourself. So if the person you're dating or one you're in a relationship with is trying to change some major aspect about you just for you to prove your love to them, such as your friendship with certain people, your career choice, or your appearance, can simply mean that they don't accept you for the way you are. So I'm coming to my sister Chamar. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
I want to say you also have to be careful about that, because not only are they not willing to accept you for who you are, but anyone that wants to isolate you from your friends, your family, whatnot, that typically is a beginning sign of some abuse coming around the corner. Because if you're isolated, then you have nobody to run to. Right. So I do want to say that. So that I am when that happens, it's like, okay, why are you trying to isolate me? So you have to be very mindful of that and be discerning about the situation. That's the biggest thing in all of this. We need to tighten up our discernment and really get to discern what's happening and what's going on. It takes a lot of work to find yourself and heal and to love yourself. That's not an overnight process. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of tears. And when you reach that point of self-actualization and you love who you are and you're comfortable with who you are, then that's not something that's too big of a price to pay to be with somebody. Like losing myself, denying myself, that's too big of a price to pay. And I'm just not going to do it. And you have to understand all of this is under the umbrella of self-worth, which is different from self-esteem. Okay? Because self-esteem is based in your looks and who and the things about you. Self-worth is based on all of that and then some. Like, yes, I have a nice body, but I'm more than that, right? So this is all under the umbrella of self-worth. You cannot possibly change who you are to make somebody else happy, because you'll be doing that for the rest of your life. And if you walk around with all these different personalities because you haven't become attuned to the one that God has created you to be. This is why we say to people, get to know yourself, have a relationship with God, a personal relationship with God before you get into these relationships, because that relationship is the icing on the cake, not the entire cake. You're already the entire cake. Okay? Who you are, how you are already the cake. The relationship is the icing. So, right, real talk, you have to, you can't go around changing yourself, but we've all done it. I do want to say that if you're watching and you're like, oh my gosh, she's so right, what am I doing? It's from experience. I have changed the way I dressed, the way I had my hair. I have changed the way I talked, the way I carried myself, all to be around certain men who eventually left. Like, I'm single, ain't none of them around here now, right? So at this point, I'm going to be who I am, and you're going to take it or you're going to leave it, but I'm going to be who I am. And when you are that way, you're opening up that avenue for someone who's also authentic and loving and caring and made for you to come along.
I love that. And that's someone naturally that'll come into your life when you are authentic with yourself. Very well said, Chamar. I'm coming to my brother, Ken. What are your thoughts on this particular topic, brother?
It's funny. I'm looking at this from a different point of view, and I can't say anything more than what Chamar has already said from a woman's point of view. But oftentimes you will hear brothers say, man, she trying to change me. She trying to make me do this. She trying to make me do that. And we tend to use that as a crutch not to change, right? You have to be open, and you have to discern whether or not she's trying to change you or whether she's trying to help you get to that next level. Right? Because a lot of times we as men will dig our heels in and be like, I'm not going to change. She's trying to change me. But if you really open up your mind and open up your heart to what this woman is trying to do for you, and what she's trying to do for you and the family is get you guys to the next level, then maybe she is going to have those hard conversations with you about who you hanging out with, about how you spending your time, right? Because where a man spends his time and where a man spends his money is what's most important to him, right? So if he's spending his time, not against gaming, I'm a gamer, right? So if he's spending all his time gaming, he's spending all his money here, he's spending all his money there, and she's having those conversations, then you need to have that kind of person in your life that's going to be there, and you have to be open to having those hard conversations, right? So every time someone is trying to change you or they're trying to help you get to the next level, don't necessarily discern it, meditate on it. Either receive it or don't receive it, right? But you definitely need to meditate on it. Now, if he's trying to change, like Chamar was saying, the way you dress, your hair, how you carry yourself, how you talk, all that kind of stuff is superficial, right? We not even dealing with all of that kind of superficial stuff. But if she's trying to change something on the inside, she's trying to help you get a better relationship with Christ, better relationship with your mom, better relationship with your dad. You shouldn't be fighting against that, right? And it's really hard for some of us as men to take that kind of advice and that kind of love from our women. We kick against it, and I don't understand why.
I'm sorry. Because the thing is, what you just stated, Ken, is so fire, because I believe a woman makes the man a better man, and a man makes the woman a better woman. I'm coming to my sister Ericka. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Well, this is like more personal. I was in a marriage for like 13 years, and that whole situation hell-bent on changing me. And because I was so broken and so insecure and I didn't know who I was, I just wanted to be loved. And so sometimes people find themselves in situations where they just want to be loved. And so you kind of just go along with it because, lack of, like Chamar said, lack of self-worth, lack of knowing who you are. So you do whatever you can. And it's from a place of brokenness until you realize that you're more, that you deserve more, that you start to awaken to who you are, and you start to look around and you get before God and you begin to pray to understand, because at that point it's like you're in bondage at that point, because it's like trying to be something that you're not, and it's more exhausting to be someone that you're not than to be someone that you are in order to go through the healing process. And so it's a dangerous place to be. And a lot of people find themselves in a situation that, or in a place of unhealthy love for self. And I'm just speaking from experience, not anything that I wrote. And so until I began to understand who I was and my value, and that God loved me more than this individual did, that's when I began to take my power back. And so it's just a matter of like, sometimes going through that place and, going through those dark places in your life, changing in order to be loved, to realize it's not even worth it, because God's love is immeasurable. It's everlasting. There's no end. There's no beginning and there's no end to it. And so once you can really understand that and come to a place of just brokenness, because in those relationships, you become broken. You become so broken and so lost to who you really are. And so it's just a matter of just coming to that realization, like enough is enough. Like that's something that's very like near and dear to my heart, because many women, we find ourselves, in those places where we just want to be loved, and we change the way our hair, the way we walk, the way we talk, we get into isolation, and it's just not, not healthy. And so once we get to that place of healthiness and self-worth and self-value and understanding God's love for us, like you can be free from all that.
Very well said, Ericka. Great insight. Very well said. And I'm coming to my sister, Nicole Marie Brown. What are your thoughts on this topic?
Ooh, this panel is killing it. Let me just say first. Goodness gracious. Yes. So this is nothing short of control. It's the if you love me mentality. Every time you make an accommodation for this person, you're going to find something else wrong. Running a race. As soon as you get to the finish line, move the gun. Much or how you try to satisfy this person, we're never ever going to satisfy them. It's always going to be something else.
Okay, Nicole, very well said. Very well said. And I'm just going to drop my 2 cents into it until we go into the commercial break. But my thing is, from a man's perspective, you can tell if the situation you're facing is based on the nature of criticism you may be receiving from the man you're dating, or one you're in a relationship with. And someone who has this way of thinking is trying to control you by creating these stipulations for you in order to satisfy him. But the reality is, true love is freedom. And I feel like where you must love, true love is to the point that you love in the way that the other person feels free. That's my take on it. Because in other words, a sister has the free will to choose to be around you. And, she has the free will to choose to remain loyal to you. And she has the free will to be completely honest with you without you having to force her hand or persuade her to see you in that light. And I just feel like when someone wants to recreate you based on their liking, it's a definite red flag that it's a control freak that you're dealing with, whereas a high value man or a leader will be looking out for your best interests, in most cases from a genuine place. So I just want to finish off and say that I tell my sisters, don't confuse manipulating tactics to constructive criticism, because one fits the mode of a brother who wants to control you, and the other one fits the mode of a brother who wants to lead you. Okay, my people, we're going to finally take a quick commercial break. And this is DBDS. This is the fire panel. This is DBDS. We'll be right back. Sit tight.
Are you single? Do you know about DBDSsingles.com? Are you ready to meet a quality man or a classy woman? The DBDS brothers want you to know that love and loyalty still exists. So if you're ready to meet relationship-ready people, sign up for a free trial. DBDSsingles.com, where quality men meet classy women. If you would like to learn how to establish and maintain long-term meaningful relationships, join DBDS University today. You will learn about interpersonal relationships, first date tips, the relationship zones, emotional intelligence, and more.
to say thank you to my big brothers, Mel and Mo, for creating the DBDS University with the live, the book, the website. It's helped me so much grow as an individual.
Hey, welcome back, my people, to DBDS Live, man. I am here with my sister Chamar, my sister Ericka, my brother Ken, my sister Nicole Marie Brown. And listen, we've been dropping jewels, man. And listen, this week, don't worry, the show will be in heavy rotation if you miss any of these nuggets we've been dropping. So before we get onto our topic, I'm just going to give some shout outs on Facebook to everybody that tuned in. Too much to mention. Shout out to my girl Sheree, my brother Jeff, girl Miss Durrett, Christine, Paula, Bonafide, Tanisha, Connie, Tiffany Stringer, Gracie Ann Green, Bernadette, Ernest, Wilbert, Toya, Kathy, Shantavia. Listen, the list goes on and on. Thank you so much for tuning in. Greatly appreciate all the love and support that you guys pour in. So right now we are going to dive into our next topic at hand. So the next topic that we want to talk about now is he or she criticize every little thing you do. You know, the
brother is frustrated. Oh my goodness.
So listen, I'm going to size this up like this. You know, some people think that love will come packaged the way they want it to come packaged. And, you know, and a person who's dating or one who's in a relationship who has this way of thinking, sets themselves up with unrealistic expectations, which creates negative tensions or a way to bail out from the relationship when they complain about every little thing you do. I think it can be a setup that you're being used until they find someone else to satisfy their selfish needs. So I'm coming to my sister Chamar. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
So, okay, criticizing everything that you do. This is, again, one of those, all this wrapped up in self-worth, discernment, criticizing everything that you do. You have to learn how to stand up for yourself and communicate for yourself, okay? So if you're allowing yourself to constantly be criticized and you find yourself making those adjustments, then again, you're going to be making these adjustments for the rest of your life. You know, and what is, and I think you have to go deeper as to what you're being criticized on. You know what I mean? Some things are constructive. Kenneth made a very good point. Sometimes we can point out things in people and, you know, we can say things about people that are meant to change them, but that's constructive though. If it's not constructive, then it doesn't, then it shouldn't even be there. You know what I mean? So you have to understand the difference between constructive criticism and I don't like the way you put the milk back, or I don't like the way, you know, you did. It could be whatever. I don't like the way you watch TV. I don't know what it could be. Personally, that's not something we're not doing that out the gate. Like you ain't got one chance. So I haven't gone there too far. But you have to really decide what it is that you're going to put up with. I can do constructive criticism. You know, I remember, you know, growing up as a woman of God and as a preacher's kid, there are certain things that I used to rebel against, and people will say you should change this or you should do this. And it was never the things that I always held dear to me were the ones that was done in love, the constructive criticism that was done in love. You know, this is how you should carry yourself because this is what you're about to step into. This is a new season of your life. You're 40, not 20. Constructive. But you just going in just to go in? Oh no, we're just not going to do that. Like life is too short to sell yourself short.
Right.
You know what's going to happen tomorrow. And you're taking everything, you're internalizing everything. And also understand you are not a trash can. 9 times out of 10, 9.99 times out of 10, when someone is criticizing you, it's because you're doing something that they're not doing. So I take a lot of hits over my confidence. Why am I explaining my confidence in 2020? As a woman, I should be confident. I soon learned that it was from people who weren't as confident. Case in point. So you have to really start to ask yourself those internal boundaries. Is what they're criticizing me on, is it really about me or is it about them? And a lot of if it's about them, if you're doing something that they want to be doing that they're not, if you're living in the way that they want to that they're not, especially if you're in a relationship, and this has happened to me quite often. Look, I'm not ugly, so don't take this the wrong way, okay? But I dated a guy who was like, oh, we found out that because I was pretty, because we would go out and I would get a lot of attention, he would criticize everything about me. In an effort, it didn't work, but in an effort for me to listen to that and then shrink back and not be who I was, because the more I shrink back, he gets his way and no one's talking to me and I'm having a horrible time. That was enough. Like we was done right. Like that was it for me. And then I went on and had a good time with my girlfriend. So you have to really criticism, have those internal boundaries. Always ask yourself, is this really true? Or is this more about them than it is about me?
Right.
Learn if it's constructive or not. We all can use some constructive criticism. But you just dogging me out just because? No. That's enough.
Nuggets, my people. Nuggets. I'm coming to my sister, Ericka. What are your thoughts about someone that criticizes every little thing you do?
A person like that, a lot of times I have a strong unmet need that's not being satisfied within them. And then sometimes people can criticize you to make you feel small, to come against your competence. And a lot of times they criticize something maybe that you're doing that they can't do, and it's to bring you down, to not build up. And so a lot of times, like I always say, we attract what we are. And so a lot of times the very thing that they're criticizing you for is the very thing that's in them that needs to be healed, because we're mirroring one to another. And so it's trolling, it's unhealthy. They feel entitled to tell you how to live their life, how you're supposed to live your life, but they're not living up to what it is that they're asking you to do. And so it's very unhealthy, and it's just unhealthy situation.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more. Absolutely. I'm coming to my brother Ken. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Great points by both Ericka and Chamar. I was taking notes and listening and trying to get my thoughts together. We've already established the difference between constructive criticism and destructive criticism, right? The person who is using that kind of criticism, that destructive criticism, nothing is ever right for them, that's all control, right? That is their way of controlling the situation, not only controlling the situation, but controlling you. And it's a few different levels to it, right? It's a few different layers to it. People would look at it on the surface as controlling, but if you dive deeper into it, when they're constantly changing something or they're constantly trying to get you to change something, it's to keep you off balance, right? You never get solid footing with them or the relationship because you never know exactly what they're looking for, right? So they keep you off balance. It's a way for them to make you think that you're not worthy. If someone that you supposedly love and that you're in love with is constantly telling you that you need to change something, it's a way for them to make you feel like you're less than worthy. I love you, but if you were to change this, you're constantly off balance, right? Like Ericka said, it's to make you feel small. Is to constantly bring you down, chip away at your self-esteem and your self-worth. The other piece to this, and I think the final piece, to wrap everything up, is to make you think that if this person who loves me or I think loves me wants me to change all these things, or I'm not right for them, then I can't be right for anybody else, right? So they're manipulating you on so many different levels, not just on the surface of them giving you destructive criticism, but they're also making you feel less than what you are, and they're setting you up to be able to say no one else is going to want you because of these things, right? So it's very manipulative. It's diabolical, actually. So.
Man, very well said. And if you're not paying attention to those signs, it's sort of like a spider web. You'll be trapped in that web. That was fire. Absolutely. I'm gonna come to my sister Nicole Marie Brown before I pull that trigger on the fire. What's your thoughts on this particular topic?
Sure. Capital TOXIC. Toxic. This subtopic made me think of a Facebook quote. I always like to go back to Facebook as reference. But this name said, "I will away because you were busy finding faults. I was busy overlooking yours." No one who loves you or values you is going to nitpick you to death unless their only goal is to make you a minion or somebody that wants to control you. And in that case, you dodged a very huge toxic bullet. Simple.
Heard out, my peoples. And here we go. There you go. I'm just waiting to pull that trigger, man. see, I mean, it's very interesting. I agree with everybody on the panel. But I agree with everybody on the panel because, from my perspective, I feel like when a person goes from, enduring you at first, then all of a sudden begin to find fault on every little thing you do or begin to nitpicks, it's a definite sign that they are trying, in my opinion, they're trying to find a way to exit the relationship. And this is similar to the pull and push technique that I mentioned earlier, but I believe it's much more aggressive. This is what I call the early exit technique, because this person is emotionally attracted to someone else. So instead of being transparent or honest, in which a real man or woman should be regarding your relationship, they take the coward approach. So think about it. If the person you met likes you for the way you are, then all of a sudden did a 360 or takes a drastic turn and find it necessary to point out the things that he liked about you to begin with, then that's definitely a red flag. And I mean, he can be attracted to the fact that he was a fun-loving sister who was well known, and after 2 months of dating, he begins to harp on your passion for being out in the public eye just to handle your business. So just be mindful of that. So we're going to take one last commercial break. I told you this was a fire show. And when we come back, we're going to have our Jerry Springer moment where we drop our final DBDS thoughts. So sit tight. This is DBDS. This is DBDS.
Dear brothers, it's about quality, not quantity.
So guys, it should be your conversation, the way you flow, your presence is enough for a woman to want to be around you, not how much money you spend.
Dear sisters, it's about knowing your value.
My sisters out there, don't be afraid to scare a guy off just because you have standards.
Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
Welcome back, my people. I am here with my brother Ken, my sister Ericka, my sister Chamar, and my sister Nicole Marie Brown. And we've just been dropping some nuggets, some jewels. And right now it's about that time. It is about that time for our Jerry Springer DBDS Final Thoughts moments. So before we lay down our final thoughts, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. But first, we are going to come to my brother Ken. Tell me your final thoughts on today's show, brother.
A lot of great topics, a lot of great information. Please share this with other people because everybody can benefit from this. My final takeaway is toxic, right? When Nicole said toxic, I was like, oh, that's it. You have to trust yourself, trust your discernment, trust your gut. Don't make excuses for people when they show you who they are. Believe them the first time, and trust your own power of discernment. And if you could do that, and I'm going to steal from Chamar when she said, "Date with intention." Right? If you're dating with intentions, those red flags will pop up a lot faster than later on down the road. That's my moment.
Man, very nicely said.
Right.
And now I'm coming to my sister Ericka. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
This was a great show, great topics, great subtopics. I think my takeaway is you have to begin to ask yourself these questions. Who am I? What do I deserve? What in my life needs to be healed in order for me to accomplish what it is that I desire, what it is that I want, not just what you desire, but what you want. Who do I need to become to attract what it is that's mine to have in this life?
Very nicely said. Very nicely said. Yeah. I'm coming to my sister Chamar. what are your final thoughts on today's show?
My final thoughts are, y'all, trust God first and foremost, because a lot of times we get stuck in these, per Jada Pinkett Smith's word, entanglements, because it's this fear of being alone and no one loving me and not having this life. But when you trust God, that fear goes away. So because the word says God will give you the desires of your heart, and God goes above and beyond, so you cannot outdo God. So trust God, work on yourself, live your life, travel, go do things, create a life that you're having fun and loving, and by all means, love yourself. When you do all of those things and you trust God in the process and you're ready and it's time, God will give you someone that is for you. So you have to ask yourself, do you want just another one, or do you want your last one? Trust God to give you your last one and not just another one, and go live your life, people. Go do things that, come on, will allow you to do, and enjoy the life that God has given you and live in purpose. Everything else will follow.
Ooh, very, very nicely said and very powerful. Now I'm coming to my sister, Nicole. What are your final thoughts for today's show, my sister?
Well, before I give my final thoughts, I want to thank you, Mel, for having me on as a co-host. This panel, Kenneth, Chamar, Ericka, y'all killed this. I can't even say anything else. Y'all were dope. For all my DBDS brothers and sisters, you really must pay attention to how people handle you. Do not overlook sketchy behavior or ignore those uneasy feelings. Sometimes you'll just save yourself a ton of heartbreak. Always love yourself, and the right person will find you.
Ooh, love it, love it. And listen, before I provide you with my final thoughts, I just want to thank this amazing panel for sharing their wisdom, their experience, and their knowledge to our brothers and sisters out there. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Chamar. Thank you, Ericka. You guys are truly a blessing. Thank you. So I just want to finish off and say that when you remain in a toxic relationship, you will accumulate negative baggage that renders you unattractive. And when you play the role as a stepping stone, you reinforce a person's thought process to mistreat you on a daily basis. The key to not be in this position is to establish moral codes and rules of engagement, so that way your personal boundaries will not allow anyone to treat you in this manner. So thank you once again to my experts on today's show. And remember, never allow your emotions to overcloud your logic.
Whew. Can we get that fire one more time? Mel, send us off.